Hey guys, it's Bible Girl, and today I'm going to start a new little series of things that we are using to count down to the final Harry Potter film. So my plan is we're going to go through Harry Potter and Deathly Hallows from the point of the ending of the last movie to the end, epilogue, and I'll do a chapter for each of these videos, or the epilogue, obviously, for the last one. And if I really like doing this and if it catches on a bit, I may go back to Sorcerer's Stone and go all the way through. Do a chapter by chapter thing. Which is something I've been wanting to reread them, and it could be an excuse, because we could go back and see all the foreshadowing and this and that. It'd be really fun. So today's chapter, it's actually one I wasn't originally going to start with, but I've decided to. It's the Wand Maker. And the Wand Maker begins after the death of Dobby. And Harry is in a state of shock. His mind is bouncing back to Dumbledore's death, and he's looking at Dobby, and he decides he needs to bury him properly with a spade, and he goes up with Ron and Dean and Luna and Bill to dig a grave, and he does it by hand. He doesn't want to use his wand. And then they wrap him up in clothing. Dean gives him a hat, and he's in a jacket. Which is something I kind of missed in the movie. But it made sense since they weren't ever discussing house elves beyond Chamber of Secrets, so why change his outfit if nobody understands it's his thing? And they bury him, and he buries them, and Bill piles over the dirt, and Harry needs a moment. And he's mourning, and all the while he's feeling his scar hurt, and he recognizes that, like in Order of the Phoenix, when Sirius died, Voldemort cannot get to him when he is completely covered in grief. Although it's pointed out that Dumbledore would probably say love. And I like that a lot, that evil can't penetrate real love. So, this is the moment where really Harry's been spending all this time playing around. Well, not playing around, but I feel like he's more scattered, and he's more open to waiting and sitting there like he does with all the camping, which slows the pace down of this book for me, and it's the only reason it wouldn't be my favorite. And in Grimmauld Place and all that stuff, he's willing to sit there, and right upon the sacrifice of Dobby is when Harry recognizes that he needs to step up and become the general, become the leader. And that's what he does. So he goes into the house, and Hermione's still healing. And Bill and Fleur are there because it's their home, it's Shell Cottage. And he says he needs to talk to Ollivander, and he needs to talk to Griphook privately and separately. And he has so much more authority, and Fleur's like, no, they're hurt, they need to be left alone. And he's like, no. And he takes this role as general, and he takes the role as leader, all on his own. He does include Hermione and Ron, you guys too, and they're pleased about that. So he's not isolating himself, but he's taking this role of leadership. And first he takes Griphook, and he starts talking with Griphook. And you can see how Griphook is so entranced by the sword of Gryffindor. And he's so proud of this part of his heritage, and he doesn't seem to want to let go of it, really, because goblins believe that when an object that was made for a human by a goblin. They believe that the object belongs to goblins after the death of a human. So you can definitely see instantly his attraction to his rules and his concepts, which we'll play on later. But he points out that Harry is a strange wizard because he would rescue a goblin because he would bury Dobby. And Harry, originally when he's talking about the burial, Dobby is thinking that he's just making fun of him because he did it a muggle way, but really Griphook's amazed by it. And they're talking about how he needs to break into Gringotts because he thinks there's a Horcrux and Bellatrix's vault. And Griphook says it's pretty much impossible, but Harry asks for help and he says, I'll think about it. And you see him with the sword and I'll think about it. And knowing later on, it's totally like he wants the sword and he'll use it as leverage for this think about it. Then he goes to talk to Ollivander. He's asking about the Elder Wand, and so this is a little different from our films because there's been that clip out there about Ollivander and Harry talking, and sorry, the clip's out there, and Ollivander knows what the Deathly Hallows are. He doesn't in the book. He's a little confused, but they have this long conversation about the Elder Wand. And Harry finally gets this realization that Voldemort is getting the Elder Wand right then and there. It happens at the end of our last movie. He's getting out of Hogwarts and he's getting out of Dumbledore's grave. And so at the end we see Harry and he's recognizing he needs to take action and they're going to go to Gringotts. I like the beginning of the chapter, and they did that in the first film so much, and I love how they did it. And they altered a little. Dean's not there in the movie, which I can live by, but just the emotion towards burying Dobby and the grave that says Dobby, a free elf. I mean, I've said this in other videos, but Dobby dying and all that made me cry ridiculously the first time I read the book. And I'm pleased they did it very well and respecting. I missed the grave marker. But for the next movie, which is what this is preparing us for, I hear that they're going to show the gravestone. I almost wonder if it was because people were missing it or if they planned it all on. So we're going to see the gravestone, I've heard, and I hope it's true. There's not a lot to talk about comes to the overt story. It's kind of this connecting point from Elfane Manor to the chapter Shell Cottage. But it's definitely the point where Harry is deciding this is who he is. He's in charge, he's the one that has his power, and he's going against, adult type figures. Bill and Fleur, and although Fleur, used to be a bit of a peer at the Chariots tournament, they're older, they're married, they're these, adult figures. They're supposed to be this place of safety that they were running to, and he's realizing he doesn't need to be coddled at all. He doesn't need to sit there and take orders from the adults, even though he's an adult. He's an adult now, and he's the chosen one, and he's taking on this responsibility. So I'll see you next time for our little Harry Potter recap when we go through the next chapter of Shell Cottage. And what I want to do with all these videos is I'm going to give you a little link up here to either, normally it's going to be a Wizard Rock song, but they're going to be in these videos about either the chapter or thinking about the end of Harry Potter, although it's never actually going to be the end. So up here is our first video thinking about the end, and it's called Last Call by Oliver Boyd and the Remembrals. Okay, I love you guys, God bless, and I'll see you for the next video.